Mr. Speaker, I now move that we recognize the gentleman from the 4th District of Pangasinan, Honorable Christopher De Venecia, to avail of the privilege hour.
The gentleman from the 4th District of Pangasinan, Representative Christopher De Venecia, is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, masantos yaagod sa kayo namin, greetings and creativity, and happy Philippine Creative Industries Month to all of you. First off, may I once again applaud Bataan 3rd District Representative Gila Garcia for showcasing the local talent of Dinalupihan, Bataan, the Jose de Piro Kabataan Orchestra, which played the Lupang Hinirang and Doxology and regaled house members with timeless pieces at the plenary hall last September 4. Thank you, Kong Gila, Kong Abet, Kong Jet, for bringing these talented youths and stakeholders in the performing arts sector to the halls of Congress. With them, truly, #The future is creative. May I also commend the Association of Women Legislators Foundations Incorporated, led by Chairperson Yeda Marie Romualdez and President Linabel Ruth Villarica, for the upcoming art exhibit Sining sa Kongreso, an art exhibit of masters, modern masters, and contemporary Filipino artists, which will be on view from September 18 to 28. This event, chaired by Congresswomen Josie Lim Kai Chong and Stella Kimbo, is a partnership with Mira Art Gallery and Project Hulmahan, where part of the proceeds will be devoted to charitable projects, including the construction of a structure at the National Center for Mental Health in support of the Philippine Mental Health Act. The exhibit also supports the celebration of the Philippine Creative Industries Month, as visual arts is one of the prestigious domains in the creative economy framework. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I stand before you today to enjoin all of you to celebrate the vibrant and dynamic realm of human expression, the Philippine Creative Industries. Following the enactment into law of Philippine Creative Industries Development Act, or RA 11904, every September has been designated as the Philippine Creative Industries Month, or PCIM. September also happens to be Philippine Film Industry Month. So we also join the film community in celebrating this very prestigious sector in our creative economy. It is thus with great joy that we kicked off the PCIM last September 3 at the Metropolitan Theater to underscore the immense role of the said industries in economic growth and nation building. PCIM also serves as an avenue to promote the creative output of the sector, the goods, the services, the activities, the events that are all being churned out from the creative space. Among the notable events being celebrated this month are the Fiesta Kucha, which is inspired by the combination of the Filipino tradition of fiestas and the Japanese storytelling style coined as Pechakucha. This event serves as a platform for the celebration, promotion, and enrichment of the diversity of talent and creativity in the various regions of the country through exhibitions, performances, competitions, and workshops. Specifically, the regional legs of the Fiesta Kucha will be celebrated in the following provinces: Leyte, the home province of our beloved Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez and Tingog Representative Yeda Romualdez. And of course, thank you to Congresswoman Ana Veloso Tuazon for the invitation to speak at their launch. Of course, just last Friday, Cebu, our UNESCO Creative City of Design, which was successfully launched in front of our creative stakeholders from the region. Davao, the home province of our beloved Vice President Inday Sara Duterte, and of course, Baguio, our UNESCO creative city for craft and folk art. In our very own province, we formally opened the Banaag Provincial Museum in Lingayen through the staunch initiative of Governor Monmon Gico III. And so I celebrate along with my kabalayan and welcome this new storied institution to our cultural landscape, as it not only preserves our province's heritage and celebrates our prestigious Anak Banwa, but it also emphasizes museums as cultural sites that can generate revenue and provide livelihood to our creative workers as part of the creative economy framework. Number 2, Lunsod Lunsad, a call for creative proposals towards building creative cities, a project that encourages the cities to submit programs, projects, and activities, or PPAs, that support creative and innovative initiatives and promote socio-economic development through local creative talents and assets. From these submissions, the DTI shall carefully select PPAs that will receive funding and technical support for as much as 3 million pesos. We encourage all our local chief executives, whether mayors of cities or mayors of municipalities, to apply to this competitive grant. Number 3, the International Design Conference, organized by the Design Center of the Philippines, which seeks to embark on a design revolution where visionary speakers and cutting-edge insights will reshape approach to design leadership. Number 4, Taglay Pinoy, a program in partnership with the DTI, SITEM, and the Regional Operations Group through the initiative of former Speaker and Congressman Lord Alan Velasco, where select MSMEs will receive content creation grants to upscale their businesses and pivot them to the e-commerce and online space. Number 5, Young Content Creators Challenge, an initiative of Senator Amy Marcos, which celebrates and showcases creative Filipino talents in music, film, animation, graphic novels, theater plays, and game development. For other events that are being celebrated this month, and there are more than 100, I believe, you may visit the Creative Industry Month's website, www.pcim2023.com. To keep you up to speed, may I invite all of you to watch the audio-visual presentation prepared by the Department of Trade and Industry, which was shown during the well-attended launch of Creative Industry Month, again, last September 3.
The creativity of the Filipino is truly world-class. Sila na nagbibigay ng kaluluwa at pagkakilala sa ating pagka-Pilipino. Protektahan natin sila.
In pursuit of protecting, empowering, and progressing the Philippine creative industries, the national government has institutionalized its support for the vast pool of Filipino creatives through the legislation of Republic Act No. 11904, known as the Philippine Creative Industries Development Act, which lapsed into law on July 28, 2022.
It provides an institutional legal definition as to what the creative industries are, to be able to prioritize what are the programs that would be necessary to be able to scale and grow each of these industries.
This is really a partnership between public and private entities.
We are building a creative learning academy that will provide trainings, business development, innovation, and entrepreneurship courses, competencies, and skills necessary, especially with the entry of new technologies and immersive technologies.
Recognizing the great potential and opportunities in creative industries, the law likewise recognizes its valuable contributions to the country's economic landscape and to the global creative space.
These industries intertwine artistry with commerce, producing a wide array of creative goods, services, and experiences that contribute to cultural enrichment and economic growth.
Finally, there's a law and an organization that creates this that will now provide direction, focus, and synergy among all the different industry players and sectors, and really focus on the Filipino talent.
Through the creation of the Philippine Creative Industries Development Council, or PCIDC, the nation capitalizes on the Philippines' abundance of creative and talented human resource.
The creative industries of our country are more than just the products that we produce, but more importantly, defined by the people that make them.
The PCIDC spearheads the development and promotion of the creative industries of the country.
The Creative Industries Council would really concentrate on the production aspect of the arts. And with that, they would need to really work with the supply aspect.
Given the cultural, social, and economic value of this sector, the further development of our creative industries actually falls within the development agenda currently being pursued by the Network for Social Development Community.
We can create enabling environments and provide them with more resources and opportunities to nurture and develop talents.
Comprised of 10 government agencies and 9 private sector representatives for each domain identified, the PCIDC carries out concrete programs that shall enrich and empower every creative domain and all its stakeholders.
With the passage of the PCIDA law, we will be working together with the other government agencies, and that would give us more impetus to make our Filipinos more aware of what intellectual property is.
Through the convergence and collaboration of the stakeholders and players of the Philippine creative industries, the continuous and successful implementation of the long-term and progressive plans for the development and promotion of the country's creative ecosystems shall lead the nation towards becoming a leading creative hub in both regional and global spheres.
These creative industries also stimulate job creation, entrepreneurship, and socio-economic development.
I can see a potential fusion of innovation and creativity that can further improve the Philippines' global competitiveness and presence.
Celebrating the creative excellence of the Malikhaing Pinoy, the Philippine Creative Industries Development Act shall continue in solidifying the foundation, strengthening the pillars of the country's creative industries, which shall advance the overall sustainable, inclusive, and progressive development of our nation, believing that the future is always creative.
Make certain that we revive once again what is fundamentally Filipino, our native creativity.
I fully support and recognize the creative industry, not only as an active contributor to economic growth, but also as a driving force that gives soul to the Filipino identity.
Thank you. As you may all know, the Philippine Creative Industries have employed 6.98 million Filipinos in 2022, higher by 10.5% from 6.32 million in 2021. The said industries encompass a vast spectrum of fields: audiovisual media, digital interactive media, creative services, design, publishing and print media, performing arts, visual arts, traditional cultural expressions, and cultural sites. In this light, it is fitting and proper that we recognize and appreciate the enormous contribution of creators, creative firms, artists, artisans, creators workers, indigenous cultural communities, content providers, and stakeholders in the creative industries. Given that the Philippines is home to millions of skilled, creative, and talented individuals, its creative economy has the potential to generate more income and jobs through establishing linkages within creative sectors to produce original Filipino content and intellectual properties. We laud President Bongbong Marcos Jr. for his steadfast support to the promotion and development of the creative industries as a driver of economic growth and our post-pandemic recovery, and for acknowledging the world-class Filipino creativity which he expressed in his first and second State of the Nation addresses. He stated that the creative industries, among others, will drive the quality and competitiveness of our workforce in existing markets and in new ones waiting to be explored. In fact, earlier this week, he made mention of supporting creative industries at the ASEAN Summit in Indonesia. And I quote, "Let us bolster support for the increased participation of micro, small, and medium enterprises and startups in the digital and creative economies. Creativity and innovation are the way to the future. Let us strengthen collaboration and align our policies, including establishing a regional scope of the creative economy, closing financial gaps, and managing digital readiness capacities." End quote. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, the creative industries do more than just entertain us. They inspire innovation, they challenge the status quo, and they help shape our future. They are the heartbeat of our society's imagination, and their impact is indeed immeasurable. The creative industries are a wellspring of economic growth. As you may all know, the sector contributed 7.3% to our country's gross domestic product, or 1.6 trillion pesos in 2022, representing an increase of 12.1% from 1.43 trillion in 2021. The creative industries are indeed the fastest growing sector in the entire world. So much so that the Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028 mentioned and discussed the creative industries over 80 times. That's 80 times, highlighting their growing contribution to the country's economic development. Creative minds have the remarkable ability to turn ideas into reality, to transform the ordinary into the extraordinary, and to bridge gaps between diverse cultures and perspectives. The power of creativity knows no boundaries. It transcends race, language, creed, politics, and geography. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, the enactment of the Philippine Creative Industries Development Act was only the beginning of our collective quest for a creative future. Indeed, we have made great strides since we first took the reins of championing the sector during the pandemic. Among them is the recent enactment of the Cultural Mapping Law, or RA 11961. Under the law, our creative workers engaged in producing traditional cultural goods and services are now better equipped in their trade through the institutionalization of cultural mapping by all local government units. A wide array of cultural resources will now be readily available to our creators through the Philippine Registry of Heritage, which serves as a repository of all cultural properties of the country deemed locally and nationally significant. The National Registry will likewise guide the government agencies in formulating plans, programs, and policies intended to develop the country's historical and cultural landscape, as well as the creative industries. What's more, the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, or the NCCA, as well as other cultural agencies, will now be empowered to provide technical and financial assistance to LGUs, which will then empower them to better safeguard traditions and assign cultural value to properties that they hold meaningful to their identity. I'm going to go off script a little bit and just say that there's a 200 million peso appropriation for cultural mapping. I encourage all of you to encourage your LGUs to apply for this cultural mapping grant with the NCCA. The cultural mapping is an important tool that you can use to leverage for socioeconomic growth and activities. For example, if your LGU is in the process of creating a festival to celebrate the rich cultural heritage that they have in their locality, you can use the cultural map so that the festival is more culturally rooted. Because for us to be truly global and competitive, we must be hyper-local. We must look inside our culture and our identity. The cultural map can also be leveraged by the academe and the education sector to better facilitate cultural education in our schools. The cultural map can also empower our MSMEs to be able to tailor their goods and services so that they are more culturally rooted and competitive. So again, I encourage all of you that once the IRR for this law is released, to encourage your mayors to apply for this cultural mapping grant with the NCCA so that for the soonest possible time, you can already produce a cultural map for your localities. Another win for the creative industries is the recent enactment of the One Town, One Product Law, or RA 11960. The law institutionalizes the OTOP program that promotes local products and capabilities and capacitates MSMEs through developing indigenous raw materials, utilizing local skills and talents, and featuring local traditions and cultures across the country. It addresses gaps in entrepreneurial skills, market compliance to preserve the OTOP brand as a mark of excellence, and access to local and foreign markets. It tasks the DTI to serve as a lead agency in coming up with a set of criteria for OTOP products that are consistent with cultural values, derive sources from the community, evoke a sense of connection among locals, and exemplify Filipino creativity and innovations, among many others. I'm particularly excited about the creation of OTOP hubs in every city and municipality across the country. And of course, OTOP hubs in all of our international and domestic gateways to be able to showcase the products, the output of not just our creative sector, but even our allied sectors in the economy. While we continue to reach milestones, there's more work to be done. It is for this reason that we continue to explore ways and means of bringing to fore and addressing the needs of the creative industries. Of course, these initiatives require resources, for which I respectfully and earnestly appeal for a substantial increase in the budget allocation of the creative industries. In fact, in the 2023 GAA, collectively between the allocation of the lower house, and of course for this I have to thank the House leadership and Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez, and of course in the Senate through the interventions of Senator Coco Pimentel and Senator Amy Marcos, we were able to generate a total of 410 million pesos for year one of the implementation of the PISIDA. Of course, in this year's NEP, there is a recommendation of 50 million, but this is still a marked difference compared to the 2023 NEP of zero allocation. So again, we enjoin everybody to support the creative sector by supporting the budgetary needs of our creative agencies, most especially with the DTI for the Malakaing Pinoy program. This all ladders up to our 2030 goal of making the Philippines the #1 creative economy in all of ASEAN by the year 2030. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, today I stand before you not only as a staunch advocate, but as someone who believes in the country's power to express creativity as a driving force for change, innovation, and progress. During this Philippine Creative Industries Month celebration, let's honor the artists who paint our world, the musicians who compose the soundtrack of our lives, the filmmakers who transport us to different worlds, the designers who make the mundane wonderful. And I heard earlier that Oliver Tolentino is here as a guest of Congresswoman Rita Robes, so we join Congress in welcoming this amazing stakeholder in the design sector, and of course, all the other creatives for their significant contribution to nation building. This month is not just a celebration, it is a commemoration of the boundless power of human imagination, innovation, and creativity. Let us embrace this month with open hearts, open minds, and let the creative spirit within each of us flourish. For truly, the future is creative. Again, Happy Philippine Creative Industries Month to all of you. Happy Philippine Film Industry Month to all of you. And please support all of our local films that are showing in cinemas this month and in the coming months. We should be the first ones na nakapila sa takilya. And let's not wait for it to be available on streaming platforms. Let's go to the cinemas, buy a ticket, and support our films, support our plays, support the output of the creative sector, and of course, mabuhay ang malikhaing Pinoy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, dear colleagues.
Creative.
Okay, we can maybe cut the video in the interest of time.
As the country navigates.
Thank you once again.
Thank you very much. Majority Leader.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Speaker, just a
Yes,
short
what is the pleasure of the gentlewoman?
Mr. Speaker, fellow members of this august body, I rise to support and the second, the pleas of our dear colleague and advocate Representative Christopher Toff De Venecia, and to draw special attention on the state of the Philippine creative industry, a special sector which is not only very, very close to my heart, but has been my very own flesh and blood. It has been good to me and to my family, and therefore it is but proper that I stand to advocate the promotion and protection of the Philippine creative economy. September being the Philippine Creative Industries Month, it is an opportunity for us to emphasize the great contribution of Philippine creative industry not only on moral or cultural grounds, but believe it or not, on Philippine economic progress. It was already mentioned by Kong Toff. I would like to reiterate that Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA reported that the country's creative economy in 2022 increased by 12.1%, or from 1.43 trillion in 2021 to 1.60 trillion pesos in 2022. The PSA also revealed that the creative economy contributed 7.3% lang naman po to our gross domestic product or GDP. Also in 2022, 10.5% more Filipinos were gainfully employed in the creative industries, or from 6.32 million Filipinos to 6.98 million in 2022. Clearly, therefore, the Philippine creative industry is a fast-growing segment of our economy, and if we use creative economy as a yardstick to our post-pandemic recovery, then we can simply say that we are all on our way. Specifically, I would like to reiterate and our support to the movie-making industry, which is quite sad at this point in time, Mr. Speaker. Sa panahon ngayon na konti na lamang ang nanonood sa ating mga sinihan dahil sa taas ng presyo rin ng takilya, marami po sa mga producers natin ang humihinto na at nag-iisip ng maraming beses kung magpo-produce pa ng pelikula. So I would like to express my support to the various bills that are being now presented in the committee of my good friend Kong Toff De Venecia. And also, I would like to reiterate also my support to the request of the Philippine movie industry to support the moratorium on not paying amusement taxes for the next 2 years for local movies, just to give support to our local movie industry. Alam ko po maraming nanonood ng international films or foreign films, pero naghihingalo na po ngayon ang local film industry. Ayaw namin marinig ang first day, last day na termino. Gusto namin muling mayagpag muli ang film industry sa ating pong industriya. At malaki po ang naitutulong nito sa amin. Sa isang produksyon, hindi lang 100 empleyado ang pwedeng mabigyan ng trabaho. Higit sa 100 ang pwede nating mabigyan ng trabaho sa pamamagitan ng pagpuproduce ng mga pelikulang Pilipino. At sana po'y suportahan po natin ang mga House bills na ito na sadyang nagbibigay importansya sa ating pelikulang Pilipino. Sinuportahan po natin bilang co-author ang House Bill 1934 at House Bill 1281 na ang layon ay magbigay ng cash and other incentives sa ating mga malikhaing kababayan. Suportado din natin ang pag-amenda ng Anti-Art Forgery Act or RA 9105. Ito po ang intensyon ng House Bill 1283 authored by Chairperson of the Creative Industries Special Committee, our colleague Representative Toff De Venecia, at marami pa hong iba. Muli, I appeal to the members of this Congress to support the Philippine film local industry. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Speaker.
Daghang salamat for your manifestation of support, Congresswoman Lani Revilla.
And thank you also, Kong Lani, a champion of the creative sector.
Thank you very much. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to move that we recognize the Honorable Gabriel H. Bordado Jr. for his interpellation.
The gentleman Bordado Jr. is recognized. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am just wondering, what is now the status of the Philippine film industry?
Oh, thank you for...
Whereas before, Mr. Speaker, we had the likes of Lino Broca, Ismael Bernal, Celso Ad Castillo, Mike De Leon. We also had the likes of Richard Gomez and Lani Mercado. But at this stage, Mr. Speaker, we are in limbo. I believe my friend here can give some clarificatory statements regarding the status of the Philippine film industry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And again, thank you to our colleague and friend, Kong Gabby Bordado, for that interpellation and that question. Medyo hirap ngayon ang ating film industry sa bansa. Gaya na nabanggit ni Congresswoman Lani Mercado, mas kumukonti na po ang pinoproduce ng mga local films dahil napakamahal. And ang primary distribution platform or channel nito, which is yung mga movie theaters natin, yung mga cinemas, ay talagang naapektuhan ng pandemic. Halos walang film screenings for about 2 years. Or kung meron man, social distancing, mga 3 or 4 seats apart, which defeats the purpose of watching a film with your loved one. Bawal pa kumain sa loob ng sinehan, so walang popcorn, walang drinks. So hindi ka talaga maiengganyo manood ng sine. Ngayon na medyo lumuwag-luwag na po ang ating protocols, ay nagbago rin kasi yung consuming behavior ng ating mga manonood. Ngayon po na meron na tayong mga digital or online platforms tulad ng Netflix or Amazon or Disney Plus or kahit yung mga local platforms tulad ng TFC or Viva Max, ay hinihintay na lang po ng mga manonood na maging available ang mga pelikula sa mga streaming platform na ito. And truth be told, kung ikaw ay isang producer na magbebenta ng pelikula sa isang streaming platform, ay katiting lang po ang mababawi mo sa iyong total investment. Pangalawa po, ay ang amusement tax na dating 30% na naibaba sa 10% ay napakamalaking hadlang po sa producers natin para mag-produce ng local films. Because the 10% amusement tax is collected or levied by LGUs on the gross sales of the film. So meaning to say, hindi pa doon nababawas lahat ng mga expenses. And in the end, talagang it's gonna be very challenging for filmmakers to be able to recuperate their investment through box office sales and the streaming platform's income or revenue is really not enough. Pangatlo po, halos wala pong subsidy ang ating gobyerno sa ating mga locally produced films. Ang government agency na nagbibigay po ng film subsidies ay ang Film Development Council of the Philippines. At napakaliit po ng budget ng FDCP for film incentives, not just for local producers, but even for foreign producers who will come to the Philippines and to shoot their films and therefore generate revenue and provide jobs to our people. In fact, something that was shared to me by the former executive director or chairperson rather, of the Film Development Council, Liza Dino Segura, we apparently missed out on an Avengers franchise being shot here in the Philippines that was going to spend 1 billion pesos in our economy because our film incentive was not competitive enough. Kumbaga, hindi lamang locations ang hinahanap ng mga producers, hinahanap rin nila yung rebates. And because yung mga karatig bansa natin sa Pilipinas ay nagbibigay ng mas competitive na insentibo gaya ng Thailand or ng Indonesia or Vietnam, mas pinipili na lang ng producers na mag-shoot doon kesa dito sa Pilipinas. So again, we miss out on all of these opportunities. And that is why, with Deputy Speaker Duke Frasco there in the rostrum, I want to thank our Department of Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco for making film tourism one of her priorities under her leadership, which she presented in last year's budget season and is now starting to materialize through a project management office. Because it was found through global studies and data that for every peso of film incentive that you appropriate, the ROI to our economy is 9 pesos. Meaning, kung maglaan po tayo ng 100 million na pondo for film incentives, ang balik po sa ating ekonomiya ay 900 million pesos. So talagang napaka-importanting tool ang film incentive para matulungan ang ating mga local creators at filmmakers, at sana po ay ito ay mas masuportahan pa ng Kongreso at ng ating mga economic managers. Of course, film literacy is also very important, and that is why we advocate for the teaching of film in our schools, because eventually it's the learners who will grow up to be the consumers of creative output coming from the film sector. But this is on the business side. We're not even talking about the labor side, and that is why we continuously advocate for the enactment of the Eddie Garcia Bill, because kailangan rin po natin protektahan ang welfare ng ating mga workers sa industriya ng paggawa ng pelikula. Kailangan ma-regulate po ang working hours, kailangan po mabigyan ng mga benepisyo ang ating mga film workers dahil sila po ay freelancers or independent contractors na kung tawagin, and they don't enjoy employer-employee relationships. Kailangan po meron tayong intellectual property remuneration sa ating mga workers para yung mga pelikula nila, pag ipapalabas ulit in the future, sana meron po silang share dun sa magiging kita. And of course, kailangan rin po natin ng Industry Tripartite Council para sa workers in the entertainment sector, para meron pong avenue or platform para mag-usap ang mga producers at ang mga workers sa ating entertainment industry. Thankfully, habang inintay po natin na may sabatas ang Eddie Garcia Bill, naka-pending po ito sa Senado ngayon, pasado na sa atin on third and final reading. And in fact, just last week, ang ating mga batikang aktres na si Iza Calzado at Dolly De Leon ay nag-represent sa mga manggagawa ng pelikula sa Senado, sa hearing ng ating kaibigan na si Senator Jinggoy Estrada. Habang inintay po natin may sabatas ito, meron po tayong salient feature sa creative industry law na kung tawagin ay the creation of Creative Workers Welfare Standing Committee. So pag nabuo na rin po yan ay magiging avenue din para mapag-usapan ang labor at kalagayan ng ating mga creative workers sa creative economy. And that is about maybe 6 to 6.5 million Filipinos of the total 7 million Filipino population of the creative economy in the entire Philippines. So actually marami pa po, Kong Gabby. I can talk on and on and on because we had 4 hearings, 5 to 6 hours each on the state of the film industry. Kailangan rin po natin ng mga micro cinemas at cinematheques across the country para mas maging accessible po ang mga pelikula natin sa ating mga youth, sa ating mga general population, sa mga tao sa barangay at sa community. Kailangan po natin ng mas marami pang co-productions with other countries. And of course, there's an opportunity for co-production with ASEAN, especially as we move towards regional integration and carve out a creative economy share of ASEAN in the entire global creative economy pie. And of course, more co-productions with countries outside of ASEAN kasi meron po silang kakayahan para suportahan ang ating local creators. And siguro finally, bilang pagtatapos, Mr. Speaker, we cannot have a vibrant creative economy if we do not have a strong intellectual property regime. So kailangan rin po natin i-combat yung rampant piracy na nangyayari sa ating bansa ngayon, lalong-lalo na sa film industry. Akalain ninyo, nung 2020 Metro Manila Film Festival, which went fully digital and online because of the pandemic, just when kumikita at bumibili ng tickets ang mga pelikula na talagang maganda ang reviews, yung word of mouth ay talagang nagmamature, at yung tickets po ay 250 pesos, which you can purchase through Lazada or Shopee, which will direct you to a streaming platform that was managed by Globe, ay pumasok naman po yung pirates that were selling links to download the films at 5 pesos, 10 pesos. So ano naman ang laban ng 5 to 10 peso link to download a film, 'di ba? Dun sa 250 pesos na charge para dun sa ticket para manood nung pelikula. So kailangan po i-strengthen natin ang ating intellectual property regime, and sana po ay ang National Telecommunications Commission or ang NTC, unang-una, i-block na nila yung access ng Filipinos to the top 50 piracy sites in the country. Because when Indonesia did that, na-reduce ang film piracy nila by 30 to 50% just by blocking access to the top 50 piracy sites. Of course, mas mahirap ma-regulate yung mga links na nasa-share through Telegram, Twitter, and all of these social media platforms. But let's start with that, blocking access to the top 50 piracy sites. And of course, we need to really strengthen the interagency council for combating piracy. Of course, may role dyan ng Optical Media Board, may role dyan ng Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines, may role dyan ang Film Development Council of the Philippines, may role dyan yung ating mga iba't ibang mga platform para mag-self-regulate at ma-apprehend kaagad ang nagsashare ng mga links to our Filipino films. Mr. Speaker, mahabang sagot, pero in short, maraming kailangang gawin, and we need a whole-of-nation approach to develop and resuscitate our film industry here in the country.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you to my friend, Congressman Toff De Venecia. Sorry for that error. For that comprehensive and compelling narrative. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Gabby Bordado. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the privileged speech and the interpellations from the privileged speech of the Honorable De Venecia be referred to the Committee on Rules.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The privileged speech as well as the manifestation and the